Before I got to college. He was there, but I never missed it. I did college. Yeah. And then when we first started. I go back to college. So my mom used to list.
For all the immediate family or have some. Oh, there are families.
Dad and I drove that back from Arkansas we were at the convention that was in Chicago in 2019, not knowing what was going to happen in 2020. There's actually on our website a video that's in my little summary page about it because you know what, the first person we used it for was a veteran. It looks so nice with the flag in the windows. And so if you go on our website, there's a so there we are at the convention. My father has my uncle Mickey with a very similar looking car in the front of Grand Manor on Vision Street. And then so Dad and I went to Arkansas and we got it. And this is my son, we actually in the video going by the arch. It was Fort Leonard Cemetery, where Dad was his basement. Then we visited my ancestors, my great-grandfather, Sam Brash, who started Brash Underground and then we went to West Lawn, where Dad's parents are. That's my son, Randy. And that's Dad, so that's my son, Randy, my dad is Dad's right with him, we got a hard lot of wrestling. Right. But over half the people who take it, and over 80% of Russians. Yeah, over half. Well, it's going to find the bargains and our price and stuff is not that good. We don't get much on this. We don't grab a union, we don't jobs. We have a place in there that they want to endorse a lot of people. We're actually in Michael Jordan's former office in the garage. This year, that we're setting up, in the cooler in the corner, If you want to come up this way, it'll be a little quicker. Hi, Beth. All right. You're very welcome.
So, hi. Thank you.
I'm so sorry. I'm happy.
Yes.
Okay. This is my father, Seymour. He knew your parents about
Grateful for what you did on Christmas.
So, can I ask everyone to start making your way into the chapel? We've got the 3 children with their spouses up front. We've got some chairs behind the grandchildren. And you can sit in the front there as well. Yes.
Dad, every time.
So am
Yeah. Yeah, there's more of them.
You can sit up front.
No, you're right with me.
Unless, someone wants to sit closer to Dad.
You're fine. We're all fine. So you guys.
Where do you want
We have a couple seats back here.
Okay. All right, oh, perfect.
It looks like, where do I sit?
Want to sit right over here?
Where's Dolly? What kind of cousins are they?
Oh, you can see my. Oh my God, you look like that.
Yeah.
Hi, Barbara. I'm sorry.
I am.
I'm Lloyd Mandel, the funeral director. She's just go ahead and sit here.
I'm a late day girl now.
Thank you, everybody, for coming here. And how many devices are online? There's 3 devices online, so there's some other people here with us as well. If you have a cell phone, it's bad when they go off in the middle of the service, so why don't we all turn it to silent at this time. And Cantor Agnes Waldman from Oak Park Temple is going to be officiating.
We'll start with Kriya, the children want to come up.
put your pamphlets down, when you grab the corners, you're gonna pull one up and hold one down, and they tear very easily.
Diane? Blessed is the judge.
That's what this is, church.
They've helped so many people do this and I can't.
Let it go as an evening.
Here, yes.
Yeah. It's this kind of day for my
Yes.
family. Dan,
The
you're well
candle-
done.
The candle, you can't blow out.
You're having trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, Papa's right here.
Thank you.
We remember Phillip Gelman and join our hearts together to give comfort and strength to his family. Mourning is a time filled with many emotions and memories, both bitter and sweet. We begin our service with the recitation of psalms and prayers, thus linking Philip's life with the millennia-old tradition of the people of Israel and the eternity of God. We'll continue with Psalm 121. I turn my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your guardian will not slumber. The guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. Adonai is your guardian. Adonai is your protection at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. Adonai will guard you from all harm. Adonai will guard your life. Adonai will guard your going and coming, now and forever. And the child asked, "Tell me of life." And the sage answered, "Life, my child, is a mystery. We do not ask to be born, nor do we even understand the meaning of birth, of creation. We grow and we experience life's pleasures and pains. We love and slowly, oh so slowly, we come to realize that we have become, that we are. At that moment, we humble ourselves before the mystery of life and quietly say, though I knew not, I have been granted the most precious gift of all, the gift of life." And the child asked, "Tell me of death." And the sage answered, "Death, my child, is a mystery. It is the inevitable return of the gift of life, the gift which came free to us. We live as the trustee of that mysterious being, of that unexplainable becoming. Yes, you and I are but the trustees of life. We nurture it, we delight in it, we give of it to others. And at the appointed time, we sadly, yet with pride, return it from whence it came. The beauty, my child, is that we are what we have become. It remains long after the gift has been returned. It remains as a precious keepsake with our loved ones who live on." Continue with Psalm 23. Can be found in the pamphlet in English. First we'll hear the Hebrew. Adonai Roi Loexai Dino Deshe Yarbitzeini Al Mei Menuchot Al Mei Menuchot Yenaleini Nafshi Shaveh Yeshaveh Yavankeini b'magilei tzedek Yankeini b'magilei tzedek Leman shemo Gam ki eleh beged tzalmavet lo hirara ki ata imari shiftecha umishantecha ema yinachamuni Taroch lefanai, shulchan etzorai, dishanka Hashem el roshi, kosi revaya. Ach tov chesed yirdefunni kol yemei chayai, kol yemei chayai, v'shavti b'beit Adonai li'orech yamim. Adonai Roi Loexai Adonai Roi Loexai. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I'd like to invite Philip's children to say a few words. If there's no preference, start with Beth. Birth order was suggested.
Yes. Dad could do this from off the top of his head. I need. So my dad was really smart, and he held so many random facts and quotes in his head. He was always able to talk with me about the books I was reading, the subjects I was studying. And I remember being shocked the first time I asked him a question and he didn't know the answer. I think that was 25. He told me often how proud he was of us kids and our spouses and families, that we were all hard workers, but mostly he was proud of who we were and the way we chose to live our lives. My dad had 91 pretty darn good years, living life according to a set of rules that somehow seemed to work for him. This last year, as his health declined and his memories became more confused, it was hard. It was hard to watch, and I know it was frustrating for my dad. During this time, I feel especially blessed to be part of this family, and I am so grateful to my brothers, Michael and Stephen. Stephen, being here in Chicago, as Michael and I traipsed off to other places, really became our rock. He and Diane and their boys went the extra, I would say, 1,000 miles to support my dad and his choices, especially during the past year or so when his health and memory became so fragile. You guys are so awesome. I would also like to express my gratitude to Barbara, who I know my dad treasured for bringing brightness and love into his life and sticking by him when things became challenging. I'm going to end with a quote because my dad was the king of quotes. This is from Rabbi Jonathan Sacks. You achieve immortality not by building pyramids or statues, but by engraving your values on the hearts of your children and they on theirs, so that our ancestors live on in us and we in our children, and so on until the end of time.
Yeah, as Beth said, Papa could do this off the cuff, but we have to prepare. And I too would like to thank Barbara and Michael and Jenny and Beth and Tom and everyone who helped support my dad over the past challenging years. Like any person, my father was complicated. He would tell anyone who would listen that he was a man of business, but in fact, he was a teacher. He had a lifelong love of learning and sharing what he knew, a trait that I like to think he passed down to his children. He loved to discuss, to debate, to argue. Often I thought he really didn't believe his own positions, but he would stay with it as the journey for him was more important than the destination. And he loved to journey. He loved seeing new places and meeting different people. Papa was especially proud of his somewhat short military service, something we talked about more and more as in the past year as his mental state declined. He would relive the memories, and suddenly my dad was back. But he served in the U.S. Navy during the Korean War. Fortunately, he was mainly assigned to battleships in the Atlantic. He had a number of jobs, from swabbing the deck, which he hated, oiling and maintaining the guns, which, being rather handy, he actually said he liked. And one of his favorites was actually shore patrol, where he would assist drunken sailors back on board the ship. Being gregarious and good-natured, he said he rarely had any trouble there. His favorite job was being the ship's newspaper man. He spent the day gathering news about the war, the rest of the outside world, and his interesting crewmen, then distilling the information into articles in a few mimeographed pages to keep his ship informed. Teaching. After his service, he continued to travel for a while, settling back in his native Austin neighborhood of Chicago, where he helped in his father's tire repair shop. There, on a blind date, he met my mother, one of the first Jewish teachers in Oak Park. Nowadays, half of Oak Park is Jewish. After they married, they traveled together for a while until us rotten kids came along. And still my dad traveled, a salesman, a marketer, and a trainer to teach a new generation of salespeople. He never really retired. He was still looking to teach, still looking to travel, well, until his final journey. Did my dad have a successful life? Well, there's no great Gelman fortune, darn it. However, Papa lived almost 92 years,
and mostly on his own terms. He left 3 children with happy marriages, 4 grandchildren that he was so proud of, and a great granddaughter who he was delighted to meet this summer. All of us have our mishigosh, and there's not a lot of self-inflicted surus. My father's memory will be a blessing for years to come. All our lives should be so successful.
I know, so I can't do this off the cuff.
Didn't pass that down.
Yeah. All right, well, the memory of Dad that I want to share comes from, must have been 4th or 5th grade. And Mom and Dad and I were over at my friend Chuck, who's here, at their house for a family game night. And the game we were playing was Trivial Pursuit. And if that was ever a game in Dad's wheelhouse, that was it. So we had the kids, the 3 of us, and Chuck's parents against, and my parents, and Dad just cleaned up. So, you know, when you get one right, you get to go again. And he would just go on and on. But what I really remember most of that is that every time we asked him a question, he would think for a moment, and then his face would light up. Because we were asking him questions, and he knew the answer. And that was something that, as Steve and Beth have both said, that was something that Dad loved to do, was to share what he knew. He knew a lot of things about a lot of topics, and he loved sharing that. While there were some topics that he would bring up his thoughts on frequently and repeatedly, my not dressing up for when I came on the airplane to visit them and went straight to their house, that was almost a constant disappointment to him. But I loved hearing everything that he had to say. On how the Navy worked back in his day, to what authors he had just discovered at the library last week. And once I had moved away, whenever he found something interesting, or something he thought would be interesting to me in the paper, or to Jen, he would send us clippings. And so many clippings.
So many.
But boy, am I going to miss getting those envelopes, Dad. Thank you all, and goodbye, Dad.
Having not known Philip myself, I feel I've learned a great deal in the last 5 minutes. But also in my meeting with Stephen and Van, we sat down and went through his life together. And there isn't much I can say that wasn't expressed by his 3 children's beautiful accounts. I would like to share what Stephen expressed to me about his relationship with Judaism. Philip didn't grow up particularly religious, but he did maintain a special connection to Judaism for his entire life. Around age 12, many of his friends and family, particularly cousins that were like brothers to him, were preparing to become bar mitzvah. This inspired him to study and prepare for his own. Big shock. Over the years, Philip became interested in Judaism as a heritage and culture. He wasn't sure if he believed in God, but he expressed how he most connected with the ethics, history, and the community of being a Jew. With quintessentially Jewish qualities such as a thirst for knowledge, Philip was said to have had the ability to absorb knowledge like a sponge. He loved to learn, and he loved to share what he had learned, a Jewish value if I've ever heard one. He was proud to be a Jew. He enjoyed attending minyan and joyfully engaged in machloket, conflict, disagreement for the sake of unveiling the truth. He was drawn to Judaism because it was an intellectual religion where debate matters and asking questions is encouraged. Though he was described as closer to agnostic than a steadfast believer in God, one could argue that there is nothing more Jewish than an agnostic, constantly questioning, trying to make holy sense of it all. Philip had a love and pride in being Jewish, and in our tradition, your life doesn't end with burial. It ends when your memory is no longer kept alive. That is why we honor the dead by remembering them. We say Kaddish in the year following their death and on the anniversary of every year following. We remember them as they were and say things like, may his memory be for a blessing, because memory is not something we take for granted. May we all continue to remember Philip in the years to come and find blessing in his memory. We're going to continue with Elmo and Rachamim. Please rise. Elmai Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Ametzei Menucha Nechuma, Tachat Kanfei Ashchina, Im Kedoshim Uteorim, Kezohar Harakia, Mazhirim, Et Nishmat Pinchas Shehalach Leolamo, Bar HaRachamim, Yasirehu Beseter Kenafo Leolamim, Veitzror Bitzror HaChaim, Et Nishmato, Adonai hu nachalato, v'yanuach b'shalom al mishkavo, v'namar Amen.
So we're now going to go to the grave site for the interment. There will be honors initially presented by the Navy, and then afterwards we'll proceed with the burial. The Shiva will be tomorrow evening. That's in the pamphlets that we've handed out. If any of the grandchildren or son-in-law would like to be a pallbearer, you're welcome to do so. Traditionally, mourners that are wearing ribbons are not. Your reform if you choose to. I know I'm not looking forward to it, but I will when the day comes.